Let's talk about a workflow that might just completely change how you capture your best ideas, especially if you're one of those people, and there are a lot of us, who think better out loud. So, has this ever happened to you? You're talking, and this brilliant idea just flows out perfectly. It all makes sense, it's crystal clear, but then you turn to your keyboard.
And you're staring at that blank page, that blinking cursor, and poof, the clarity you had just seconds ago is completely gone. It's so easy to think that means you're just disorganized, right? Or maybe the idea wasn't so great after all.
But that's not actually the problem. The real issue is something called a processing mismatch. It's a really simple but powerful idea. The way your brain naturally forms ideas by speaking is clashing with the way you're trying to capture them by writing. If you're a talker, forcing yourself to type first is always going to feel like trying to write with your wrong hand. It's just awkward and unnatural. This brings us to a really fundamental question about how our brains are wired. Are you, at your core, a writer or a talker?
It really boils down to this. Some people genuinely think on paper. Their ideas actually get sharper and clearer the more they type and edit. But for a whole lot of other people, and maybe this is you, they think in the air. The thoughts only take shape and become clear while they are speaking them out loud. And this part is so important for verbal thinkers to understand. For you, speaking isn't just about communicating an idea that's already finished. It's the actual act of creating the idea. You literally have to hear yourself talk to figure out what you think. And that's exactly why you can explain something perfectly to a friend, but then freeze up when you try to write it down an hour later. It's not a flaw. It's just your process.
So, if that feeling of being stuck is hitting a little too close to home, let's get into why it happens. And here's the good news. It has nothing to do with you and everything to do with the order you're doing things in.
I really want you to let this sink in. This struggle is not a discipline problem, and it is definitely not a creativity problem. It is, quite simply, a sequence problem.
See, the issue is that almost all the productivity advice out there assumes we're all writers. It tells you to start with outlines and bullet points and all this structured planning. Basically, build the skeleton of the idea before you put any meat on the bones.
But here's the thing. If you are a verbal processor, that sequence is completely 100% backwards. Your brain gets clear while you're talking, not before. So trying to structure an idea that doesn't fully exist yet, yeah, that is always going to feel like hitting a brick wall. And this is where the voice-first workflow comes in. It's this simple but honestly revolutionary method that works with your brain instead of fighting against it. All it does is flip that broken sequence on its head.
The main principle couldn't be simpler. Generate first, structure later. That's it. You treat them as two totally separate jobs. And the workflow itself is almost laughably easy. Step 1, open up any AI tool that has voice input. Step 2, just talk. For 5 or 10 minutes, just speak freely. And here's the most important rule. Do not edit yourself. Don't try to organize it. Just talk it out like you were explaining it to a friend. And then you get to step 3, which is where the magic happens. You just ask the AI to do the structuring for you. A simple prompt like, hey, organize what I just said into clear sections with action steps is all it takes. The AI does all that heavy lifting, turning your messy stream of consciousness into a clean, organized structure you can actually use. What you've just done is huge. You've cleanly separated two very different tasks, idea generation from idea organization. For a verbal thinker, just untangling those two things is what removes almost all of the friction and frustration from the creative process.
Because let's be honest, the biggest challenge for verbal thinkers isn't a shortage of ideas, right? It's grabbing them before they just disappear. The best ideas pop into your head when you're driving or out for a walk or in the middle of a conversation. And by the time you finally get to a keyboard, they're gone. Voice capture lets you grab that idea in the moment it's being born.
Okay, so are you ready to actually try this? I've got a super simple experiment for you to run this week to start building this new muscle. Just try this workflow 3 times. Session 1, just open it up and talk about anything. Seriously, whatever's on your mind. Just get used to it and release the pressure. Session 2, use it to generate something small and useful, like maybe an outline for an email or a small project. Then for session 3, you just do it again. That repetition is what's going to make it a habit.
Now, once you start using this system, something really important starts to click. It can totally reframe how you think about your own creativity.
You'll have this realization you were never actually unclear. You were just trying to force structure way too early in the game. You were using a sequence that was fighting your brain every step of the way.
And this, right here, is the big takeaway. Clarity isn't some personality trait that you either have or you don't. It's a sequence. And when you finally get the sequence right for how your brain works, the ideas just start to flow. It's incredible.
So here's the challenge. Try this today. Open up your favorite AI tool, switch it over to voice mode, and just talk. Ramble for 5 minutes about an idea that's been bouncing around in your head.
And then just ask the AI to organize it. Seriously, run the experiment. If you are a verbal thinker, you might be absolutely blown away by how fast your raw, spoken thoughts can turn into something clear and actionable. So what amazing clarity is just sitting there, waiting for you, just one conversation away?